Hello and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm going to be talking about the two-player game Smitten, designed by Jamey Stegmaier and published by Stonemaier Games. I'm going to go over how to play and give my thoughts on the game. Normally in my review videos I just give a brief overview, but this game is so short and simple to explain I could have given maybe a 30-second overview or a full how to play in about a minute. So I figured let's go for the full how to play. After the how to play, I'll give a brief review of the game. So how does this game play? First of all, you're going to shuffle up all 18 cards, then place one card aside face down, and then you're going to deal out cards to each player based on the difficulty. For easy, you'll deal out 4 cards, and for medium or hard, you'll deal out 3 cards to each player. Hard difficulty adds an additional rule, which I'll go over in just a minute. Now, Jamey recommends that you start out on medium and adjust as needed from there. Once you have your hand dealt, you choose which player will go first each round using limited communication, saying something like, I have a good card to play, or I could play a card, but it might lead to us losing, or I don't have a good card to play. Then one person plays a card into a 3x3 grid where that number would go based on the number that you see in the corner. The other player then must follow the instructions on the card the first player played, usually indicating playing a card following a certain rule. The instructions on the card placed by the second player are ignored. After both players have played a card, you draw back up to the hand limit. There are going to be 2 3x3 grids created over the course of the game, with each card being placed in a specific place in the grid where the artwork will match up with the surrounding cards, and the numbers indicate where in the grid to place the cards. The first card placed in either grid can go anywhere, and then every card placed after that must be orthogonally adjacent to another card already in the grid. If at any time no legal placement can be made or the instructions on the card for the second player cannot be followed, then the players lose the game. You win the game immediately when the 17th card is placed, ignoring the instructions on the card, and you place the set aside card in the final place to complete both grids. When playing on hard difficulty, neither grid can have 2 cards more than the other grid, which will almost always require you to play in the opposite grid of the other player. There is one card which may change things a little on this front. And that's how you play Smitten. So let's get into my thoughts on the game, starting with the art and components. The artwork is by Vincent Dutrait, and it is good artwork. It is particularly a nice touch that the artwork is all from other Stonemaier games, plus a card here that features Jamey's cats Walter and Biddy. When the grid is completed, also the cards form a cohesive big picture. The cards themselves are good quality. The game is only a card game, so there are no other components except the sleeve the cards come in and a small instruction pamphlet. This game takes up a very small footprint on your shelf or in a drawer. One thing that might have been a nice touch would have been to have a mat included for the grids, but then this game would not be so compact, and most of the extra space would be coming in the form of the mat taking up extra space. And so it's fine just to be able to play that on a game table without a grid there. Now let's get into talking about the gameplay and ease of play. This game is very simple to learn to play. You're literally just placing a card, and then the other player places a card following the instructions on the card you just placed, while keeping the typical adjacency rule in mind. The instructions on the cards are also simple enough to interpret as long as you're not trying to game the system by questioning the straightforward interpretation of the cards. The gameplay itself has a light depth of strategy, as you have to think about the potential consequences for playing a card and then your teammate having to be able to follow the instructions on your card. Some of the card's instructions are somewhat luck-based, though at various points in the game become more or less luck-based depending on how far along in the game you are and what's been placed. There are also some cards whose instructions will automatically cause you to lose if played too late in the game, so that's something to keep in mind. Of course, if you play that last card of the game, you don't have to worry about the instructions there. The luck of the draw can quickly come into play as well to cause you to lose the game. The good news about getting dealt a bad deal is that you can lose a game in under 5 minutes and just reset and go again. Our full games never lasted more than about 10 minutes. We also would typically play until we won, so we might lose 2 or 3 games in a row and finally win one and call it a day at that point. This game is a quick and light game with a basic level of strategy to it. The limited communication sometimes leads to some analysis paralysis as to who is going to play that first card, and one person may find themselves taking charge more than the other if the other player is more prone to be uncertain as to whether they should play a card or not. I did not find the gameplay totally engaging, but it is a decent game for a filler game or a game that you just want to unwind with. I'm not sure that I would enjoy playing it on hard mode, as difficulty seems to ramp up the effect of the luck of the draw more than the strategy, as it really limits where cards can be played, and the ability where you have to play in the same grid is almost impossible to pull off, with the exception of being an extra card having been played in a round prior to that. Now let's talk about replayability. The replayability is not high with this game due to the fact that it's just 18 cards, 2 of each type, and it'll have a similar feel time after time. Although with how quick this game plays and how easy to table it is, that it might find some added replayability just for the sake of being an easy game to table when you have a small amount of time or just want a simple game to play. The slim design also makes it a great game to travel with, and being able to bring it with you on trips may add to the replay value for some. Now let's get into my final thoughts. I'm going to give Smitten a 6 out of 10. It is a very basic game where 2 players are cooperating to fill out 2 grids of 9 cards. It does not have a high degree of replayability due to the small amount of cards, which you will see every game that is brought to completion. The game has a decent combination of strategy versus luck of the draw. Usually you can work things out with most draws if you are careful enough. But sometimes you just find yourself hoping your partner has the right card to follow you, or the right card gets drawn from the deck. The small footprint and ease of play make it a game that will find extra plays due to being able to be brought on a trip, or simply a game that you pull out when you want a quick and simple game or as a filler game. This game is a decent game, but not one that I'm going to want to constantly play, but may find its way back to the table from time to time. Mostly on trips or at a game day when I'm waiting for others to be done with the game so that we can join in a new game would be a great time to put this in. One good plus is this is a very inexpensive game to get. It only costs $10. In fact, I actually got it as a deal when they first came out with it as part of their anniversary deal there, where if you bought other stuff from the Stonemaier website, you actually got it for free. So I was able to get it as an add-on that way for free, but it's only like $10. And so I can recommend this if you want just kind of a simple filler game that has a bit of a strategy where you kind of have to think about the consequences of what card you're going to play. And so that is Smitten. I give it a 6 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed this review. It's given you something to think about. And as always, I hope you have a great week, and game on.